Hello, Marcus Guiliano here, international author, business speaker, Forbes Business Council, and restaurateur. I want to talk today about the three types of customers or the three types of guests that you have in your business, specifically the restaurant business, but really any business. And this kind of will help you determine your marketing budget or your lead magnet to get people in the door, okay? There's three types of guests. Here we go. So this was actually prompted from just years of people questioning me, how much should I spend on marketing? How much a month should I spend on marketing? My answer every single time is, I don't know. There is no answer. You want to spend money on what works. You want to spend money, you want to figure out your ROI and then keep doing it and doing it and doing it again. You wouldn't go to the casino and know that you're guaranteed a 2-to-1 return and say, I've only budgeted $500 to gamble, knowing that if you put 501 in, you're still going to get back a return on that. 510, you're going to get a return. If you knew you're going to keep getting a return, an ROI, you'd keep going because you wouldn't stop. And that's how your marketing should be. Your marketing should be tweaked. So if it's working, if you have $1,000 a month budget and you burn that $1,000 a month budget, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, that $1,000 made me $7,500. Why would you stop? Why don't you take some of that $7,500 and put it back into marketing and now have 15 grand as a return? See, so you have to figure out your ROI and know what you're doing. And part of figuring out your ROI, or part of figuring out how effective or your ad strategy to begin with, your marketing strategy, your promo strategy, is figuring out who you're marketing to. Who is your guest? Okay, there's three types of guests. First, you have the guest that's on the sidewalk. This person's just walking by. They don't really know about you. They may have heard about you, but they really have no interest in coming to see you as of right now, okay? So this person here needs a stronger offer, a stronger lead magnet, a stronger lure to get them in, okay? Because they're just saying, oh, wow, they're just strolling along, and they're going to see you in their peripheral vision. So if they're on Facebook, it's peripheral vision. If they're looking somewhere, whatever, they're peripheral vision. They need something to really grab them in. Somebody who's driving, who's in the slow lane, is somebody who you're actually retargeting. So they've probably actually been to your website. They may even be on your email list because they were on your website and they signed up. And so you're on their radar. They're on the radar. They're driving, okay? They're driving. They know about you. And you've had there's somewhere along the way, they've either been to your website, got on your email list, been to your Facebook page, or they've been aware of you. So this kind of person needs less of an offer, okay? Less of an offer because they're familiar with you. Now, the last guest is somebody who's in the fast lane. This is somebody who's actually been to your restaurant. They've been to your business. They've given you money, and you have their information to retarget them, or not retarget, but to market to them again, because they've already been in your establishment. So those three people make up who you're marketing to. So, for example, you wouldn't give the same offer to every single guest or every single potential guest because they need something different to come into your restaurant. The person who's in the fast lane just wants a $5 off, come back and see us, right? The person who's on the sidewalk might need a $15 off the purchase of 2 entrees, right? Buy 1 entree, get 1 free, 15 off 2 entrees. So it depends upon your price point. If your entrees are $9, then that equation's too high. If your entrees are $40, then that's not quite enough, right? So you have to figure out what your sweet point is and where you're at. So that person on the sidewalk, you have to put something compelling in front of them to tell them to stop what they're doing, look at your marketing, look at your promo, and say, wow, I'm going to go there because I just saw this. Not, I'm going to go there anyway, and that $5 off is just a bonus that I'm going to get, see? So how do you market to all these people? So the fast lane's easy because they've been into your restaurant. You compile a list of them in the database. You put a comment card out, virtual or digital, or hard comment card where they fill out your information, they fill out a survey, they do something that prompts them to give you their information because they trust you and they like you. By the way, it's 6 times easier to get somebody in the door the second time versus the first time. And this makes sense now that you've put everybody in the lanes, right? That person who's already been there, that trusts you, that's given you their phone number, their email address, their name, their mailing address. If they've given you that, they're so easy to get back in the door. You just have to communicate with them and give them something small, okay? You put them in a reward program. A reward program is a great way to get people back. For every $100 they spend, send them a $5 gift card, send them a $10 gift card, whatever it is. So that's easy. The person who's in the middle lane is somebody who's been to your website, they're familiar with you, and the great way to market to them is by using your Facebook Pixel. Facebook Pixel is a coding that Facebook gives you for your fan page, and once they're on your Facebook page, Facebook grabs their information, knows where they're coming from, knows who they are, and then when they go to Facebook, you can actually advertise to them. So this is somebody who's familiar with you, but really hasn't done business with you yet. Now, if you're not familiar how the pixel and the retargeting work, let me just give you an example. I like to use this example. Like if you go to Zappos, go Google Zappos right now and look up shoes on Zappos. And then don't buy anything, exit out, and then go to Facebook. And sure enough, when you're on Facebook, you will see an ad that retargeted you. And you're going to say, oh yeah, those are the shoes I liked at Zappos. Thank you for the reminder, Zappos. And you're going to click it and buy, okay? So that's how you retarget somebody who's driving, okay? Fast lane's already in your subject. Who's driving in the slow lane, that's how you retarget them because they know about you. And somebody who's just straggling along, they're going to need something very big. Now, the way you look at advertising on Facebook versus Google is totally different as well, okay? Those are two totally different types of people. Let's use example. I like to use example from like Mother's Day brunch, very popular day, Valentine's Day dinner, Mother's Day brunch. Let's stick with that. If somebody's scrolling on Facebook and they're seeing Mother's Day brunch, they need more of an attractive headline than somebody who actually goes into Google and types in Mother's Day brunch, such and such town, such and such area, such and such valley, such and such county, or local restaurants, Mother's Day brunch. Because when they're typing, they're in the middle of that fast lane and that slow lane. They're there. They're a qualified guest, where they haven't maybe seen you they maybe haven't heard about you. They have never been to your website, but they're a buyer, right? They're a strong buyer, but they're not in the fast lane because they haven't actually been in your establishment yet, right? So that ad headline, that copy, that headline right there needs to be different than the one that goes onto Facebook. Because on Facebook, you've got to grab their attention. You have so long. We're just like, our attention span now is nothing. Our attention span is like a gnat on speed. It seems like people just scroll through, and you've really got to, bam, right there, grab them in and go. So, for me, Mother's Day brunch is a great way to advertise on Facebook, but I don't advertise to new people typically. I advertise to people that I know that have been in. So I use my Pixel, or I use my list. My email database list, and put it in, create my audience, or I go right onto Google, and Google's the best. And I've been doing this for years. And the day I discovered this is gold right here. I discovered this like 3-4 years ago, and this is probably when they started doing it at Google. When you place an ad for like Mother's Day brunch, Father's Day barbecue, New Year's Eve, or this, people are Googling this. When they hit that ad, the call to action button is actually a phone call. You get them on the phone, so they hit it, and instead of taking them to an ad, it takes them to the phone, and you have them on the phone, and you can explain to them, and that right there is the best way to increase your business. When I started doing that for Mother's Day brunch, my business immediately doubled that year, and it's been like that ever since. It's amazing. The Google call to action button, which is a call, amazing. So now if you go on my website, you can see a lot of times, like I have Valentine's Day listed right now, and it says click here for reservations, right? Click here for reservations. It's actually a phone call off my website. It's a phone call. It's not to another page with the menu and this. It's a phone call to me. Once you get them on the phone, you're more likely to convert them, more likely to book them as a reservation, more likely to sell them, because it's just that easy, a phone call. People, it's just like that. So hopefully this helps you split up how you're going to advertise to your 3 segments. And kind of, I'm not going to talk about lifetime value of a guest right here. I've done that before, and I'll talk about it again in another video, because you kind of want to figure out, what is a good guest going to spend with you in 5 years? And that's kind of how you kind of know, like, hey, if a good guest is going to spend $6,000 with you in 5 years, I would pay $200 all day long for a lead magnet to get a guest like that, right? Because that's the lifetime value of the guest. And just because you figure out your lifetime value of a guest, or possibly, doesn't mean you still have to work that guest. You still have to communicate, send them offers, honor them, do things, or the way else they're going to forget about you and go somewhere else, because another restaurant is going to actually lure them in, okay? And that's a whole other topic in itself. But I'm just talking about the 3 types of guests here. So kind of think about where you're advertising, who you're advertising, what kind of offer you're giving to those people. If you don't have a database, start today. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Today. Same thing with a database. The best time to start a database was 20 years ago, right? When you first opened, or 5 years ago. The second best time is